Here are my F1 driver rankings. I haven't been doing the scores from 1 to 10. I've been doing them with my mate, but there's a few I'd missed because I wasn't doing regular in quotation marks uploads. I've missed an upload, so I'll be putting two out, one today and one tomorrow to make up for it because I've been trying to do once every 3 days or once every 4 days. And the real problem is just like recording the audio and things because I've been doing it with trying to get my family out of the house, so there's no disruptions or sound things like that. But yeah, so Max Verstappen. This is all P1 Max Verstappen. This is all based off of like if I put them in the same car, would they be able to beat the other one? And Max kind of said that he would be able to beat both McLarens, and I don't disagree with him. I know McLaren had blunders and everything, but Max is just him right now. In my heart, I would, as a McLaren fan, I wouldn't have been mad had any of them won it. Obviously, like if Max won it, I'd be like, "Well, we fucked it," rather than "fuck you, McLaren," I guess. But yeah, then we have George Russell. The little Spain kerfuffle makes Max closer to Russell than most people would think in my eyes. I think Russell's been fucking superb. Like anyone that thinks that Russell's bad now, just show them the last 24 races. I can't think. Well, he hasn't DNF'd. That's one massive thing. He hasn't DNF'd. I saw that on We Are the Race, I think, earlier yesterday or 2 days ago. That they put out that he hasn't DNF, which is absolutely bonkers. So that's why he's P2, just consistent. Mr. Saturday, now turning into Mr. Sunday a little bit. But yeah, he hasn't DNF'd. I don't think there's any shockers other than Monaco, but that wasn't really his fault. That was just Monaco being Monaco. Next we have Charles Leclerc. Um, it's really hard to place him because he could be above both McLarens. He could be behind both McLarens. Um, but I don't think he's not made too many mistakes. He's made quite a few in Abu Dhabi. I think he made a few in Qatar, but those weren't like race ending, like Lando in Canada and things like that. But I think he's just been consistently good. There's a few. I think he had a Q1 knockout, but that's Ferrari being Ferrari. That's is really hard to place Charles. With Lando Norris, I don't know which one's more controversial: the fact that I have him below Charles Leclerc, or the fact that I have him above Oscar Piastri. Because some people would be like, "Oh, Oscar's been better because he was first for longer than the year." But who won the championship? I'm not an Oscar hater or a Lando lover, but like, look at the facts. Like, Lando lost less points from his own mistakes. I'm pretty sure, and he lost more points due to McLaren, really, because of engine failure and downfall. I know it's a massive, like, 18-point swing, but still. I think Piastri, yeah, because he lost, what, 12 in Australia? Something crazy like that. Then we have Oscar, P5. Like, you can't put them any lower than this. If you do, you're bonkers. Because, eh, any driver would tell you this is the biggest pressure in motorsport. To be able to done this in your third year is crazy. I'm glad Lando went out in the interviews and was like, I'm so glad I have him. I don't think I'd be the driver I am without him. Because it's true. Oscar's pushed him like he's never been pushed before. Carlos pushed him, but Lando didn't. He wasn't expected to meet Carlos. He's expected to be beating Oscar in his seventh year with Isak Hajar. Other than the mistake in Australia and the few blips, I think, come to the end of the season, I think he's been like consistent, but not just consistent for a rookie, but not just consistent for a rookie. Consistent for a full-fledged F1 driver. I think he's been superb. Also, a lot of top 10 I think is quite similar to the race. Not on purpose. It's just facts. But yeah, he's like ahead of Fernando, which the race didn't. But yeah, I think Isak's been pacey. He's destroyed Lawson other than the second half of the season. But that's not because Hajar's been bad. It's because Liam Lawson's been good. So I'm going to move on to Fernando. The first half of the season is so hard to grade Fernando because it was luck, like pure luck, just DNF, 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 DNF. I think he made a few mistakes, but that's expected. Yeah, you're always going to make a few mistakes. You're not going to be perfect every weekend. Uh, So I think he's been worse than Hadjar, just from what I expect. Rather than I think if you put these guys in the same car, I think Fernando would beat him. I know that's the criteria of this thing, but I just think for you've got to take into perspective. Alonso's 44, something like that, 40 odd. Hadjar's 20 odd, young, early 20s. Like the the experience difference is crazy. For Isak to have crashed like that in Australia and come back is something to be applauded. But yeah, Alonso smashed Lance, whitewashed I think in qualifying. Just Fernando Alonso really. Next up, we have Alexander Albon. The race had Albon ahead of behind Sainz, which confuses me because yes, Sainz had higher highs, but Sainz had lows at the start of the season, like low lows. And like I think these are so similar that you can genuinely just look at the championship and be like, who's better? Because the Albon was brilliant from day dot to I think Hungary. I think he started the drop off, and Carlos was good from Hungary. You could see the development, and the points were still there for Carlos, but they weren't like Albon. So I think Albon, yeah, I think Albon it has done better than Carlos, and I think Albon, well, he has beaten Carlos in equal machinery. Also, sorry for the mistake on this slide at the top. I didn't even notice that till just now. But Carlos, yeah, same thing as Albon. Just he's been beaten by him points wise. I think he's been beaten by him qualifying. He's just he took a while to get up to the pace, but the pace he's at now is better than Albon. But over the 24 race season, then yeah, it's completely different. If this was 12 race season, I think the McLarens would be barely in the top 10, and Carlos would be top 3. So it swings and roundabouts. 24 race season, it's a marathon, not a sprint, as Crofty always like to say. That's why I have Kimi Antonelli here. I say that he had 2 sprints, one at the start, one at the end, and then right there, smack dab in the middle, went slow as anything. Um, During the European season, which I kind of expected. I had high hopes for Kimi this season, but it wasn't like crazy high, like Tom. No, like yeah, Tom from P1 had him beating George Russell after that Monza FP1. I couldn't have Kimi any higher than P7 in my predictions. But yeah, P10. He's made a lot of mistakes. Do I think he could beat Ollie Behrman, who is P11, in a equal machine? Yes, because he did last season in F2. But I also do think that Kimi is in the highest pressured environment for a rookie. Maybe not humanly possible because Red Bull exists, but definitely definitely out of the rookies this season. I don't think you would count Lawson as a rookie. I don't anyway. But yeah, I think he's been superb. Podiums, P5s, P6s. He's had a lot of dreadful races, but he's picked himself back up, and I think that's the hardest thing in motorsport or any sport, is to have a really bad run like Carlos, Lewis, Lando, and Kimi have, and come back from it. So I have Ollie Behrman P11. Completely beat Ocon second half of the season. Was being beaten by him pretty convincingly at the start, but he always had that pace. But he always had those mistakes. He's been really consistent this season. The only glaringly obvious thing is he's penalty happy. Got a few 5 seconds, but then he finishes P11. So he finished P11 5 times, like he's Hulkenberg's little protege. But yeah, he's been very good. Other than the British Grand Prix free practice 3, I think it was. Nico, very quick podium, high highs. He's not too many low lows. He could be higher, honestly, Nico. But I have him P12 podium. But since that podium, I don't think he scored, or he didn't score till the final race weekend. I don't think. But yeah, Pierre, this is impossible to grade. This is impossible to rank. Like how bad? It really depends on how bad you think the Alpine is. The race clearly think the Alpine is worse than I do because they have him P10. But I think he's superb. I know I'm a Pierre Gasly stan, but I think he's been superb. 20 points in that car. He's Colapinto has been a lot closer than I would have wished in qualifying, but it was after the Alpine was capable of getting points. So Liam Lawson, being ahead of Hamilton, I think is quite normal for most predictions. I'd imagine, or reviews, whatever. He was P6 quite a few times since Austria. Austria was his turning point, I think, and he's been equal to Isak all of the second half of the season, really. And I have Isak in P6, so I think without that, I think that Liam would be closer to P18 or something like that. Lewis Hamilton. Now this is a doozy. He was impossible to rank as well because it really depends on how bad you think the Ferrari is, and then how hard it is to come into a new team. Because we saw with Carlos, it's so hard to come into a new team, but he adapted to it eventually. Lewis never did. Lewis will, I hope, but he never did. Personnel around him. Carlos had the personnel to adapt to. Lewis couldn't. But yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. Lewis next year could be amazing. Could be this bad. Like realistically, I think he's shown glimpses in the races of pure Lewis Hamilton brilliance, but the qualifying is just so depressing. He had less Q3s than I think Pierre. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I know Pierre got 10. I don't think Lewis got 10. He got the same as Isak, Hadjar, I'm pretty sure. Lewis. I don't know. But yeah, Lewis should be doing better. He knows that. Gabby. Just I don't know. Yeah, I didn't expect him to beat Nico, but I kind of expected him to be closer to him in points. But pace wise, I didn't expect him to be close, if that makes sense. I thought Bortoleto would be better than Hulkenberg in the race, but worse in qualifying because Hulkenberg's biggest shtick was qualifying. And we saw in Abu Dhabi, Bortoleto qualifies P7 and Hulkenberg qualifies P18. So I think Bortoleto head to head qualifying is pretty good. I'm not 100% sure with that one, but it is pretty good. And then I think they've been really equal, Gabby and Nico, but points wise, I just cannot give Bortoleto any higher than 16th. But the biggest problem I have is that he's a rookie and he's crash happy. But the only reason he's down here is because no one else has really been crash happy this season. I think Charles had a few. Albon might have had a couple. Pierre's had a couple. But yeah, they haven't really had massive shunts other than Bortoleto in Brazil. Esty Bestie. P17. I just have him down here because I kind of expected a bit more from him. And I think Gabby on his day could beat Esty with pure pace. But I think Ocon has the smarts. So I kind of have pure pace ahead of him because that will come. The smarts and race pace and everything for Gabby. So I have him below. I have him above Ocon. But yeah, Ocon started off really, 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 really well. I think he had 20 points before Ollie Bliss scored his first. But since other than Abu Dhabi, since P10, he's not been great. Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's been pretty he's been a lot worse than Fernando, even though at the start of the season it did not look like that, and it looked like he was going to beat him in the Drivers' Championship, but he didn't. So Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's been a lot better than people give him credit for. I think since Imola, really, he if he didn't crash in Imola, I think he'd be still in the Red Bull's seat, and I think he would have probably finished in the top 10 in the drivers. Well, obviously, I think he finished top 10. I think he'd probably have about 80 points, something like that. Maybe he'd have a podium, maybe not. He's definitely have a few P5s, I think. Yeah, Yuki. Franco, been quite close to Gasly. Also, sorry for the mistake on the left hand side. He's been quite close to Gasly, qualifying pace wise, race pace wise, maybe not, but he's been pretty good for how poor that Alpine was. And Jack Doohan has just been really, really, really poor. Really, let's be honest. Yeah, I think he's just been really poor. The Japan really solidified it. He was never any. I think his qualifying was pretty good. He got close to Gasly, but let's be honest, he was never that close. I think he beat him once in Japan, but yeah. Then my driver rankings. I think there's back gaps at the top for the next videos. Should I be able to fit them? I don't know, but that's all the summaries and everything. And bye-bye. I'll have a video out today, 6 p.m. as of the 15th of December, and I'll have one later.